Today on Nerd and Normal, we'll be talking about Google planning on adding their AI Gemini into the Chrome program and what it will do for you when you're on the internet.
Welcome to Nerd and Normal with Matthew and Gareth, opening your mind to the world of technology. So let's get started.
Matthew, it's good to see you again.
And
normal here with the nerd. Did you know, Mr. Nerd, that it was in 1998 that two people from Stanford University that Mr. Trump wants to close, they were named Sergey Brin and I think it was Larry Page. They came up with this idea that became Google. You know what they called it originally?
Oh, not off the top of my head, no I don't. But I did not add another name.
Back rub. Now Google, all these years later, not only will you massage the back, but it'll do everything for you. Why has Google added Gemini? We've got enough AI things around. Why another one?
Well, they've had Gemini for a while. They've been sort of building on it, but now they've decided to sort of integrate that with everything else they do. To sort of, I don't know, is it to try and take over the world? Or is it just to sort of make everyone use their products, their browsers, their online services, their email, their video services, their devices, exactly, and their laptops. So don't forget their Chromebook laptops. It's everywhere.
They're upgrading Google Chrome and adding Gemini. Is it just another browser, or is it more than a browser?
I think it's pretty much more than a browser. I look at the number of programs that are being released these days that are AI focused, and there's browsers that already do AI things, so they can read your articles for you, they can summarize things, they can do a whole range of things. But in Chrome's case, they're actually integrating that into their other services. So Chrome itself, just by having Gemini as part of it, will be able to read the articles. You can then ask it to summarize the articles and send an email of that article or that video you're watching out on a Gmail email to somebody else, making an appointment in your calendar so that way they can then easily get a hold of you for doing things in the future. It's an integration of all their services using their own programs to make you do more stuff of theirs.
Well, be more specific, my friend. How does it differ from its rivals? Because there's a plethora of rivals.
The best example that I really have have to be Microsoft with their Edge browser and Copilot built inside of it. All it can do is pretty much summarize what you're looking at and sort of point you in the right direction with their own Bing searches, not Google searches. Whereas this integrates everything fully. In theory, Microsoft could do something similar with their online Office programs. They can have Microsoft Office Online do things with Word and Excel and their Outlook services and their calendar service. But Google is the first to actually fully integrate all that stuff together, only for US citizens though. We don't get it here just yet. But it means that it's all within their own ecosystem. There's no having to worry about going somewhere else to do something. It's all from within the browser or within Google services or within a Google product, being, say, a Chromebook laptop or an Android phone as well.
Why is it only the United States if Chrome is a worldwide thing?
That I don't understand, because normally when they test this, because this is literally hasn't been tested too much, it's normally rolled out in the smaller markets. So say Australia and New Zealand got Google Maps first. So they tested it here. It was actually created here, Google Maps, but it was launched here first, tested here, and then released worldwide. I think this is more of probably a marketing and advertising situation they're doing, is if they can prove that this works and they can, the main function of Google these days, or Alphabet, is to actually show ads. If they can monetize this in America, their largest market, they can then ship it out worldwide and then they can't be stopped pretty much.
When you say it's largest market, surely there's only 300 plus million people in the United States and there's billions across the planet. Surely Google is used right across the planet, and that's therefore a bigger market, surely.
It is, but it's also their largest individual market. They look at the world as individual markets, and Australia and New Zealand is one market, Europe is another market, UK is another market. The US is their largest and their main market for their money. They make most of their money from the US market, which includes Canada, because that's where most of the money is for them, because they can't do much in China, which would be a lot bigger for them if they could do it, but unfortunately they can't get into China to do these sort of things.
So does this predispose Google eventually to do away with Google and recall it Gemini? Is it going to make one archaic?
I don't think so. For the last, it's got to be close to 2 years, they've had Gemini as part of their Google search system. So whenever you do a Google search, and you've seen it yourself, you do a search in Google, the first thing that pops up is the Gemini answer to your search. Then you get the ads, then you get the actual search results. So I don't think I'll get rid of that, because Google is saying that Gemini is not going to destroy the internet. But to be honest, you look at anyone doing a Google search these days, they pretty much look at the first result, which is the Gemini response, and they go no further. So it won't destroy Google's search, but it will reinforce the fact that when you want to do a search, you will use Google and you will get a result from AI. Just take, for example, do you use ChatGPT to do searches at all?
No, I don't, because I don't want someone else to write what I can write myself. I can research it on the net, I can research it in books, but I write it myself. So why ask a computer to write what I can write at the moment, what I hopefully can write better?
Well, that's the thing. People like yourself are sort of the ones that aren't doing it, but a lot of people, I know that there's builders that are actually using ChatGPT to search for things. They're already using AI search. This gives Google that chance to say, look, we're going to give you AI search inside of Chrome, and if you're already using our Google Docs service, you're already using our Gmail service because you're using all our services for your business, hey, it's all here. You do your search on Google, and it straight away sends everything out to your clients or even your other staff.
Someone said to me the other day that they went on to ChatGPT to ask it a question or get an answer or whatever they wanted, and it said, sorry, can't do it at the moment, which I believe has to do with a lot of people using it at the same time, so it slows things down. Is Gemini going to have that same problem? If Google is so internationally recognized across the planet, is it going to slow down your search process?
Probably not. Mostly because the fact they've got the bigger infrastructure. They have computers and systems all over the world that they themselves own. And so they can they'd have to have some sort of slowdown if they get hit hard. But at the end of the day, if you do a Google search now, you are using Gemini, just not to the extent of which you're going to be doing. Where ChatGPT is based, all their servers are pretty much based in the US, a few scattered around the world, but nowhere near the infrastructure that Google has and nowhere near the scalability that Google has, and they can take advantage of at this stage.
Okay, Google has to use data that it has stored to be able to do whatever you want it to do. That data does Gemini or Google require you to input your data so that it can do things for you? And if that is the case, does that not raise all sorts of problems for security, personal sharing of information?
Guess what? Since the beginning of the Gmail service, and even before that, when they had a Google accounts being created, you've been giving them your data, happily. The fact that people have been using Gmail for their main email service for decades now, when you sign up for a Gmail account, you agree to let Google actually see your emails, read your emails, not individual employees, but their systems to read your emails. And they've used that information to help build their idea of who you are and what you like. And they can also then use that to help you better produce emails written as if they're from you as part of the Gmail service.
In other words, the more data it has on you, you risk it doing things letting people think it's you when really it isn't you.
Exactly right.
And that surely that's probably one of the whole things about AI that I don't like, that it can take over you.
Yeah, before Google launched Gmail to the world properly, the public launch, I was given one of the early test email addresses, which I've still got to this day. It's only used as a test. I never use that for personal things ever, because I don't want the stuff Google has on me to be related to me. So it's when I'm doing things on websites I couldn't care less about, or trying to post things to see if emails are working properly, I'll use it as a test subject, because it comes in handy for that purpose. Because again, I don't want Google to know what I'm thinking, where I'm thinking it, why I'm thinking it, and then working out what I'm going to say after it, which is what they might try and do.
Okay, so I had to write an article on serial killers, and I used Google to search names and methods and various things. Does that mean Google now has that data of my search stored somewhere, and potentially down the track I could end up in trouble because I searched serial killers?
In theory, they have it, but you can also, in theory, tell Google to forget everything they've learnt about you. In theory. How much do you trust one of the largest companies in the world that focuses more these days on advertising than it does on anything else?
Not at all. Sorry.
One of the things that I remember
No,
years ago,
thank you.
back when Google first created Gmail, I was talking to a text communicator from the US, and he said he was actually going into the Google offices before the launch of Gmail just to have a chat to some of the staff there, and he's told me that one of the signs when you walk in to the Google offices, there's a sign that with the motto for Google in those days was "Don't be evil." That was their motto. That is no longer the motto of Google.
It's share your evil with us now, is it?
Let us know all your evil thoughts.
Yeah. What is the worst thing you don't want anyone to know? Please tell me. Great. What does it say to you that Apple have actually, I believe, Apple has been in touch with Google saying, can we access Gemini's techniques to improve the workability of Siri?
As someone who's got an Apple phone and I once used Siri, I'm looking forward to that. Siri is absolutely shockingly bad. To the point where I actually watched a video that someone created just recently where they asked Siri, what is the price in America of an iPhone 17? And Siri's response was, here's an article on the website that I found. He then asked the same question to a Google phone running the Google AI, the prior to Gemini AI, and it could literally tell him the numbers of the prices.
Okay, all right. On that very note, I have in the home, do I admit it? I have Google Home, right? And occasionally, because I'm into music, and that's part of my main job, I will ask Google, I better not do it now because it'll start playing. I ask it to play a certain track, and it says yes, and I'm accessing Apple Music, and I'll play it from Apple. But occasionally, even Google, I ask it to play X, and it gives me Y.
Yeah.
Why?
It's the old version of their AI, which wasn't as good as what Gemini is. In good news for you, you'll get Gemini on your Google Home services very soon. So you'll be able to get a better version of your AI server. It might give you more better music.
No, it just won't give me a specific track. That's all I meant. Look, again, I asked a question I asked a moment ago. When Gemini becomes available, like everything else, there are always updates. For example, you mentioned ChatGPT. Well, you can actually pay for a better version of ChatGPT. Is it likely to? Am I likely to find that Gemini will do that same thing to me? Want money for a premium version?
Are you asking if Google's going to want your money? Google
doesn't
want...
silly question. Silly. I withdraw it. I am only normal, remember?
It's a case of, they've got two choices. Either charge you money for it or show you more ads. Which one do you want? And that's you won't know. If you don't pay for it, you won't know if the results you're getting are ad-supported results. And this is the biggest concern with an ad company, which Google is these days, doing AI. Are the results you're going to get actual results, or are they ads because you're not paying for it? You won't know the difference.
Matthew, given that one of my jobs is teaching university students, and I like to find ways of encouraging their critical thinking, to encourage their creativity. The more access we have to AI on whatever platform, and Google sounds like it's going to be the biggest of all, isn't that likely to diminish the critical thinking within individuals, become lazy about thinking things so they just get AI to write it for them?
As someone with two children that first one's going to go to high school next year, critical thinking and common sense aren't that common these days. So they'd rather have, I think, something like that give them the answers rather than trying to work that out themselves. And I think that's the way the world's becoming, is the fact that they are there. Rather than thinking for themselves, they'd rather see something on their computer and say, oh, that's the truth, that's the way it's going to be. Because their attention span isn't what it used to be.
Well, does it prove my point?
Exactly right. And that's what my concern. But for me, I'm reminded of, again, I've got a history working with music as well. And you think back to the songs from the 50s, 60s, early 70s. They were all about 2.5, 3 minutes long. Then we went to the 70s, 80s, 90s, where they got longer, to about 4, 5 minutes long.
MacArthur Park is 7 minutes and 19 seconds, and it's from the 60s, by the way. But I just thought I'd throw that in.
You get the odd one.
Yeah.
But these days, songs are around about, again, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes long. The attention span of people these days appears to be shrinking once again. And Gemini, I think, in Chrome's going to help to shrink even further.
Yeah, well, that would be, as is all of the AI platforms, that is one of my biggest concerns. Not security, not privacy, not where the data's coming from, but critical thinking or creative thinking will disappear.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You look at, if you ask an AI service, any of them, to write a story, it is extraordinarily basic. To the point where chances are, if you were to say to an AI, can you write me a story about a dog picking up a bone running off along a beach, it'll be similar to what a 10-year-old would be able to write, because that's what experience it has. It has a whole range of different books and stories it's created, it's gathered over the years, but at the end of the day, it's not able to creatively put that into a sentence structure that makes sense, other than as long as it follows the English language. If you get my...
Surely the size of the AI's data, the bigger, the better, the more creative the end result will be. I mean, I know I'm trying to argue against myself now, but the bigger the data, doesn't that enhance AI's ability to sound more human?
Maybe not, because it's only just a collection of words and punctuation is all it has. It hasn't got the actual creative constructs that we can do. I remember years ago learning my crafts. We were taught to watch the person's eye line. And if they're looking up to the top right, it means they were thinking memory serves. And if they're looking to the top left, they were lying. And as humans, we can do that. Computers can't lie. They can't think. They just spurt out the data they know.
Okay. Silly general question, because I'm only normal. You're the nerd. Will it be good or potentially bad or a mixture of both, Gemini?
Gemini inside of Chrome, I think, is going to be a mixture of both. For most people, that's going to be a good situation because they can then do more things on their computer without having to change programs. It'll all just be there. They can do emails. They can look at the range of different things on YouTube. They can have things explained to them quickly and easily. They can have questions asked of them. But the problem, I think, is going to be for website owners, which has already been the case for quite some time. Anyone who owns a small website that's not hugely popular does not appear on a Google result at all now. They're locked down so far down the order you never see them. The ones that do appear now towards the beginning are the ones that are the large companies that have large websites that probably use AI to create most of the content they have. That's all happens below the ads and below Gemini already. But Gemini in the Google search is accessing all those other websites that it doesn't show you the results for. So for website owners, it's going to be, I think, really bad. For users of Google services, it'll be quite useful, though.
Okay. I have a friend who is a brilliant photographer. And she's brilliant. So if I go in this new system, if I went on to Google with Gemini, please give me a list of the best photographers in Sydney or Perth or Brisbane or Melbourne, will it not any longer put her website up because it'll only go to the big ones at the top?
Yep. Pretty much the way it works already. The search engine optimization is the key words for all these sort of things, has changed over the years and now it benefits the larger companies, the larger websites more than it does the small individual ones. If you try and pretend that you know what's going to happen with the search engines, you're joking. You're kidding yourself. Because the algorithms they use change. And now with AI becoming a bigger thing, whether it be Copilot in Microsoft's Edge, whether it be Gemini in Chrome, whether it be Brave's own AI service that they have in their browser, they all, these days, scan the internet for things, and they all focus on showing you their AI answers first. And then it's always advertisers. Advertisers have to be important.
So how is this photographer going to navigate her way when Gemini becomes available to everybody? How is she going to navigate her way through to be able to get her website appear on Google anywhere?
If I had the answer to that, I would be a multi-billionaire because I would partially own Google. There's really no option. For me these days, I know with say, the website that I have for the business, it has dropped dramatically in traffic numbers. It used to be quite high in the Google results, and then over the years it's dropped further and further down, and will continue going further and further down as you have other larger companies coming in and doing the same search results that I've used for decades, or you have other websites coming in pretending to be whole databases, whole directories of things. And again, my website gets pushed further and further down to the point where even now, I don't use my website for the business at all. It's used for me for storage of my own information for data purposes.
Some of the main features of Gemini, as I have read, it'll help you with writing, it'll help you with research, even help you with translations. If you say, hey, Google, can you say this in Italian? It'll do that for me. It also, I believe, will help with security. If your passwords are compromised, it will rewrite them.
Yeah.
Isn't that, if I haven't done it and it's done it, well, that means someone else has my password.
No, because already, if you go to change a password and you're using nearly every program or even your phone, when you go to change a password, it will say, do you want to use this password? And gives you a 26 list of numbers and letters. That's created randomly by the program. And then it's saved to the program automatically when it's being used. It's the same thing that Chrome will do, but it won't ask you, do you want to use this great, big, long, complicated password?
It'll do it anyway.
Exactly right.
So that way I won't know what the password is. Even I don't know what it is.
Yep, which then means that you can't write it down if you need to use it again. You can't, if your computer dies, you've lost your password unless you sign back into Google and get everything to come across. It's, to me, pretty much one of the most annoying features of these things is when people do a password reset, they don't write them down anymore. And a number of times people have to get back into their different websites or email services and they can't because the password's not known by them is astronomical. And trying to recover from that's ridiculous.
Okay, well, there's a bad side of the good versus the bad. Will this Gemini, if I said to it, please paint this, I have a photo of a male, and I say, all right, can you paint this photo as Rembrandt would have painted him? Will it paint such an image?
It should be able to. You can already these days with other AI services already say, paint this or change this picture into a picture similar to Picasso, and it will change it into a Picasso painting. Doing it inside of Chrome with Gemini is no difference at all. What worries me, though, is I cook quite often. And one of the things that Gemini can do inside of Chrome is modify recipes.
Yeah, now, make this a vegan as opposed to a meat-loving recipe.
Exactly right. Now, I don't know about you, but I've seen so many times where AI has modified recipes or even from scratch tried to make them, and they're inedible. Would you trust Gemini to modify a recipe to meet what you require?
Not if it was full of mushrooms, I wouldn't. Okay. Well, look, back to the square. It's only in America at the moment, or the United States at the moment. Potentially, when can we see it happening in Australia?
I've been searching all this time trying to work it out, and there's no mention at all of a launch worldwide. It'll be great if they did. Again, Australia created Google Maps. We did it here. So we should be one of the first ones to get it, to test it. But they haven't mentioned anything about any release anywhere else. But be careful, because I've been noticing there are now Gemini extensions for Chrome, which are made by third-party people, which could be causing grief and security threats for people. So you want to make sure that you only get it through Chrome from Google direct, not using another extension inside of Chrome to try and do it.
Otherwise, a hacker will be onto you and get all your data.
Exactly right.
Fascinating. Another AI monolith to have to deal with. Another attack on the creativity of the human mind. Not being able to write a recipe even because Google's going to do it for you. Okay. Google was going to update Chrome to Gemini in Australia. Who knows?
Is it good?
Write it yourself. Hey?
Yeah. Is it good or is it bad? We don't know yet.
No. Well, is it good or is it bad? I think the next chapter in our adventure here through technology is we're going to look at AI specifically. Is that correct?
We are. We'll look at AI and sort of how it's evolving and how it gets used by individuals and also by other places as well. I've actually seen some worrying trends in AI, which involves children in New South Wales being able to access it to do study. And having spoken to the Education Department, it worries me a bit more as well.
Yeah. Well, as I think I may have said to you in another episode, at the moment, you've mentioned ChatGPT. When it writes something for you as an essay, you can always look at the use of pronouns, and if they're not personal, first-person personal pronouns, then it was written by ChatGPT, not the student submitting the essay. Fail.
Well, there's two sides to every argument. It says, this is what happened, this is why it happened, and this was the end result. And again, that's AI. The data is being given isn't enough data to actually create valid responses to answer questions properly.
On that note, I look forward to our chat on AI. This normal and nerd, I hope, is edifying, and I hope it's helping people understand the myriad of complications that exist with the world of technology. Hey, Google, please play. And it just said in the background, playing on Apple Music. And I didn't even give it a title.
See, the problem is you trust it too much.
Not anymore. After talking to you, I don't trust anything.
I've got to say, I have none of those smart speakers in my house at all. Never will have them. I've been offered them. Never want them at all.
Hey, Google, stop.
I think we should too.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Today on Nerd and... you were going to do that.
Oh, well done.
I knew I'd do it.
We'll have bloopers in this.
I'm fine with bloopers. All right, take 65. 69's more fun. Today on Nerd and Normal, we'll be talking about Google planning on adding their AI Gemini into the Chrome browser program. No.
I would do all that again.
Yeah. I'm going to. Now it's take 69.
All right, they're upgrading. Say 69. See, you do it, I can do it. Anyway.